Hey, Longhorn, baby.
Are we closing fast now? Yeah.
Contract signed, money wise. Let's go.
Woke up feeling like a boss today. They said, boy, you know we got you, gone and do your thing.
Hey, everybody. This is Mike Hoffman, the CEO of Longhorn Investments, your favorite hard money lender. And welcome to the Longhorn Investments podcast. This is our next episode. And we are very excited to have with us our Chief Lending Officer, Jeff Dimock. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today, Mike?
I'm good. Again, this was a tough booking for me, getting, people that work at Longhorn Investments come on the podcast. It's, I'm going deep into my Rolodex here to get folks to come in and everything.
Yeah, I came kicking and screaming.
Exactly. He was forced to. So, Jeff, I want to get into the little background of Jeff Dimock. So give me a little history, biography. Where were you born? Are you married, kids? Where'd you go to college? Let's get to know Jeff a little bit.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I was born in Winston-Salem, that's backtrack. We're going to have to edit immediately.
You already forgot you were born? You already forgot?
No, I skipped ahead to growing up.
Oh, all right. Where were you born?
All right, start over. So I was born in Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, I
moved
didn't know that.
to Winston-Salem, North Carolina when I was 2. So grew up in Winston-Salem. So didn't spend any time in California that I remember. But my dad was in graduate school out there, and then I grew up in North Carolina because my father was a college professor at Wake Forest University.
Nice.
Yeah.
And did you go to school in North Carolina?
I did. I actually went to school at Wake Forest. It was a pretty good kids tuition situation there. So it was hard to pass up a great school and the deal that they were offering. So
nice.
So
I'm confident that you studied real estate and finance, right, in college because you knew exactly what you were going to do as you grew up.
Yeah. All my friends that were doing accounting, and here's me in a biology degree. So no, I did not study real estate and finance in college. I studied biology because I grew up in an academic family, didn't really know much of the business world, and followed in my dad's footsteps of I enjoyed science, so let me just pursue a biology degree. So
did you want to be a scientist or a professor, or what did you want to do?
I thought about a few different things. That going to graduate school was step number one, but I actually considered law school.
Yeah,
I thought about some sort of environmental law, environmental consulting type of gig, something like that. But then I just decided as I was going through school that wasn't really interested in continuing on into graduate school. I met my wife at Wake Forest, and she was a graduate student at the time, and seeing her and her classmates getting advanced degree jobs and the challenge of where they could work, and kind of you niche down and get narrowed into some real narrow potential for job offers. And so I just decided that the interest was waning and the job market was not what I would hope. So let me move on to something different.
So you mentioned your wife when you saw her in grad school. So that means you got married pretty young?
Yeah, I got married right out of school.
Oh, boy.
I graduated in May and got married in July.
Oh, when did you graduate? May of
1991.
1991. You and I are the same age then. That's exactly when I graduated college.
How about that?
And you got married in July.
I got married in July of 1991. I did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not get married in July of 1991. Just that's where we deviated. That's where our paths deviated right there.
Gotcha.
All right. So you were married, and then when did you have your first kid?
That's a good question. 4-ish years later. I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
All right. So you guys took your time a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So you didn't go to grad school.
No.
You got your degree in biology.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you go do?
The last thing that we did leaving Winston-Salem in our condo in Winston was unplug the answering machine.
Okay.
That's going to throw us back to 1991,
Right.
All by itself.
Half the people listening don't know what an answering machine is.
Exactly. So I was headed to it. My wife got a job at the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta. So we were moving to Atlanta for her career.
Okay.
And I was headed to, just transfer being a waiter in North Carolina to being a waiter in Atlanta. And last thing we unplugged was the answering machine. And I got a response to a job offer I'd put in from the classified ads in Atlanta the printed paper.
I was about to say, do you want to tell people what classified ads are? 'Cause,
Yeah.
do we do classified ads anymore?
I don't think even the online versions are all that accessible anymore. But no, this used to be the little 2x2 square of paper, right?
Absolutely.
And I had applied for a job selling copiers in Atlanta, and they called me back, offered me the job. That's what I went and did.
So 22 years old, married, wife's working for the CDC, and you're a copier salesman.
I'm a copier salesman, hitting elevator keys, riding the skyscrapers of downtown Atlanta.
So are you making cold calls, walking in offices? Hey, can I see you? And what kind of copier you got? Well, here's what we can do for you.
That's
Stuff like that.
exactly what I was doing.
Oh my gosh.
Getting no's repetitively. So they say if you can sell copiers for longer than 90 days, you can sell just about anything. So.
And how long did you last as a copier salesman?
It was about 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And be honest, enjoy it, not enjoy it? Like, what was your thoughts?
It's a mix. I mean, there's aspects of it that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the people, the aspect of, once you got engaged with people, I was helping people and they, appreciated the technology that we were bringing. At that point, we were starting to see the beginning of advanced printing systems, not just a copier on a table. It was a networked printer and all that. So there's a lot of cool technology involved as well.
Okay.
But I did not enjoy cold calls. I did not enjoy the banging on doors and, the challenge of rejection and all that. But it was good training.
You don't see too many guys with biology degrees, going out and selling copiers later. I mean, you had a unique angle and everything.
I did. Absolutely.
So, all right, walk us through. Then what was next?
So I have to share one quick story
Tell
from
us.
the copier world. In the world of sales, often there are contests, right? We have incentives to try and get our salespeople to work a little harder. I was the new kid on the block. We had a contest that fortunately our management put into the structure of it a way for the new guys to be able to participate as well. So it was, as you sold more, you got more chances in this, raffle-oriented contest. So first, one of the new guys, I got my last deal that qualified me for the contest, and my wife got to go to Paris and Monte Carlo for her first anniversary.
What?
We
You
got
won?
All expense paid trip to Paris and Monte Carlo.
That was what the raffle was
That
for?
was what the raffle was for.
That's a pretty sweet
So
deal.
we spent a nice first anniversary. She was very happy.
That's amazing. Longhorn, we had our company conference. I think we raffled off $250 gift cards to like Home Depot or something like that. I feel like we kind of went a little chintzy. That is an amazing trip.
It was incredible. And we got there and I realized that, it was the president of our dealership had offered up the contest to the staff that way, but all the rest of the people on the trip were presidents of other dealerships. It was a, manufacturer driven trip. And there's dealerships participating, and ours just happened to use it as a sales contest.
And so you were the youngest people by about 25 years on that trip?
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I take it. Now, I do know a little background about you, though. This is not your first time in Europe, though, right? You spent some time in Europe.
Yeah, I've actually had a good opportunity several times to be able to travel in Europe. My dad did a sabbatical at the University of Amsterdam when I was between 8th and 9th grade, so spent 3 months in Amsterdam in the summer. Got to take a trip through East Germany to West Berlin and experience the craziness of the Soviet bloc world at the time. And amazing to see how different that is after the fall of the wall now.
That's
and then
crazy.
I was in London for a semester of college as well and traveled with my dad in Scandinavia and a month in Germany. So I've been blessed with a few opportunities.
Yeah, that's not normal. Most people, if you want a trip at 22, 23 years old, your first, wedding anniversary, you probably haven't topped that. You might have, but that's pretty good.
So that one actually started, and when we were in Monte Carlo, believe it or not, I've been to Monte Carlo more times than most people's like, one-time thing, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I've been 3 or 4 times now.
Oh my gosh.
And when we were there for our first anniversary, it was right after the Formula One race in Monaco. And so all the grandstands were still set up, all the red and white curbs are still painted, and I've just been a car nut forever. And that was probably an encouragement in that direction. And then Netflix It comes along with their Drive to Survive series, and I get my wife interested.
Yeah.
Some years later. So my wife and I did a 30th anniversary trip back to Monte Carlo, and we attended the F1 race. So we had an awesome trip for that.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. And I will say that I knew nothing of F1.
Yeah.
And then one of my buddies told me about Drive to Survive, and he said, you got to watch this. And I was like, I'm not interested, da-da-da-da. I go watch it. I think I've watched 5 seasons now. Totally hooked on it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I sort of think that, because now we're deviating a little bit, but if we're going to talk F1 a little bit, I actually prefer watching the show and the series and the behind than the races. And I've also learned that it seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm a novice on this, that the qualifying is far more, like that almost sets the tone for the race. Like you already know, unless mechanical defect or accident happens, these are the top 5. These are the only guys that are probably going to win the race. Is that?
To a certain degree, it depends a lot on the track, too.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
Monaco is extremely difficult to pass.
Yeah.
So qualifying is incredibly important in Monaco.
Yeah.
It's less so in other races. But it's also, there's a very different quality level in the cars and the engineering and the expense that is going into them. So there's, there are levels within an F1 race. There's only 2 or 3 or 4 teams that are actually competing against each other out of the 20 cars that are in the race.
Yeah, we might have to do another thing on that, because I'm mesmerized by it a little bit, because I can't quite understand why is there such disparity between the cars. I mean, they're all spending tons of money on everything,
dollars. And
you've got like car companies like Mercedes involved in it, Aston Martin's involved in it, if I'm correct, and McLaren, right? And these are car companies,
right?
And then you got Red Bull, who's winning all the race, and they're a sports energy drink.
Right,
like, I don't understand why is their technology the best, but it's all real estate though, right? It's the real estate, right? The car's the real estate. It means anything. So we'll get back to real estate at some point here.
Yeah.
All right. So you went on your first year. That's a great story. All right. So you're selling copiers, did that for 2 years. Then where did we go?
From there, I got into IT after a few years. I had a little stint with a little different type of sales, but then I was always a computer interested nerd growing up, but had no concept that there were actually jobs in that space. And then along the way, come to find out that there's actually such a thing as a computer network administrator and the IT guys in a shop. So I through some friends, I ended up becoming the first IT administrator of our church. So I spent 3 years doing that.
Okay,
that got me interested, or got me into the computer world of maintaining systems and whatnot. And then from there, I got into consulting. And so I joined a small CPA firm, which at the time it was all the rage for CPA firms to add IT consulting to their offerings.
Why is that?
I think that they were just looking for additional billable, hours type services to add. And for whatever reason, somebody started the trend and a bunch followed. I think it's a whole lot less common now. Those that did ended up splitting off a lot of those businesses.
Right. They left.
Yeah.
They left the accounting firms, and they're on their own now because we all need IT consulting, computer technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it probably grew out of the fact that they were trusted advisors, being accountants, they were somebody that their clients could trust to do their IT because they trusted them in another way already.
I wonder why lawyers didn't think about that. We were trusted, right?
Sure.
I mean, we should have done that. Billable hours. I mean, fit right on our alley.
Right.
Anyway, another swing and a miss. All right. So you did that for a while. How long did you do that for?
Through a couple different companies, I ended up spending about 20 years in IT consulting.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I feel like we're getting close to where your real estate adventure started.
We're getting close. Yes.
Okay.
So
well, hold on. Let's back up real quick.
Yeah.
You're married. You got married as babies. You didn't even tell us.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have kids, and I think you have a lot of kids, if I recall correctly.
I have 4.
Oh boy.
3 boys and a girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're all grown though. I mean, they're adults.
My youngest is 21. My youngest is my daughter. Yep, she's 21. So I've got from 21 to 30.
Okay.
2 of them are married, and we're anxiously awaiting grandkids.
So no grandkids yet.
No.
So how old's your oldest?
30.
Okay. All right. Crazy. Babies having babies. I mean, that's what happens. That's what happens. Okay. All right. So you're a married man, 4 kids. You've been copier sales guy, you've been in IT, you've been consulting, and what's your next step? How did you get into real estate? And the reason I want to ask is, and we talked about this a little before, is like, I have found everybody that's in real estate, I've found so few people that set out to be in real estate, right? Whether they're an investor, whether they're a lender, I just seem to have not found anybody yet that said, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to be in real estate, or I want to be in hard money lending or private lending or not. I mean, people want to go into banking, but it's not, banking is a whole little different segment. We might talk about that a little bit. All right. So I want to hear it. How did you stumble into this, or was it intentional?
It's a little bit of both. It was when I ended up, after being with several companies, I had my own, solo IT practice. So I was doing project management and consulting for companies. And that was very much if I don't spend an hour, I don't make $1. And I was looking for something where it was disconnected from the amount of time that I put into it. And my first foray into that was I bought a franchise of a cost reduction consulting business. So we would analyze somebody's copier expenses or telephone expenses or international shipping costs or things like that. And then we'd enter into a savings sharing, not a revenue sharing, but a savings sharing agreement with them over 2 years. We got, 50% of whatever we saved them, kind of thing.
Okay.
So I did that for a bit. And then the foreclosure wave was coming through, the '08 cycle that then turned into, things in 2012-ish being really depressed values. And I just started looking around for what's going on and all this real estate stuff that I could be looking into.
So let's back up. So before that, I'm going to guess that you bought a house with your wife at some point. And then maybe you moved or sold it because you needed a bigger house because you got more kids. So how many real estate transactions had you done prior to you deciding you want to take a look at this market and see if it's something you want to get involved in?
2.
Yeah. That I
First house in 93, second house in 2000.
Yeah. I would have guessed, I was going to guess 2 or 3 is what it is. Okay, so we're in 2012.
Yeah, around that. Yeah, okay. So maybe 10 or 11 probably when I started looking into it.
And you're living in Atlanta still? Okay.
Yeah.
And so, because Georgia's an interesting market then. There was a lot of foreclosures. 2009, 2010. I mean, there was a lot of foreclosures going on in Atlanta. In Atlanta, when you were looking around the market, were you going to foreclosure auctions, or how were you trying to find houses?
So I started out with my first foray into understanding what was going on was the guys that were preserving the vacant houses for the banks. So there's a whole business of property preservation out there.
Yep.
And I'm, intrigued by that and watching some webinars from some folks pitching their, ways to get involved. And then I realized, these guys are making $1,000 for somebody to buy the house and fix it and flip it and make $50,000. So maybe I won't do that. So I ended up getting involved in some real estate groups in Atlanta. Hired a coach, said, "Hey, teach me what to do."
Well, hold on. Let's back up. This is interesting. This is good. This is an angle I want to get into. How did you find real estate groups to go hang out with? Did you go online? Okay.
Yeah.
So you searched like Atlanta RIAs or something like that?
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And how did you decide which one you want to go to? Because I'm fascinated, right? Because like as a lender, when I go to these meetings, I'm always curious, depending on the club I go to, is what made people want to show up here, right? Because there's some big clubs, and I get that because they market, they spend a lot of money, and then there's these smaller RIAs, and I'm like, how did people find these things?
Yeah. Well, at that point in time, they were a lot smaller. They had been a lot bigger, and then they all shrunk, and as the crisis, came through. And so, I'd go to a meeting with 30 people that used to be 300, And so, there was really one predominant volume-wise group in Atlanta at the time.
Okay.
There's a couple, there are many more now, but so I just, attended some meetings and, felt like I was getting good information and decided that there were people that could teach me what to do. And so that's how I got started.
So, and we're going to dig a little on this because I want to understand this. Did you, when you went to the RIAs, did you have to pay to go to the RIA?
No, I don't think so. I ultimately had to pay to join for a year for $99 or something like that, $100.
Okay.
$199.
So they charge you a nominal fee.
Yeah, just to attend the meetings. I mean, it's probably, first couple meetings are free and $20 a meeting if you don't join, or, 120 if you do for the year or something.
And what goes on at these meetings?
Well, it depends on the club. Some are very education focused. Some are very salesy focused. So there's probably the predominant pattern is a meeting that somebody from outside comes and speaks at, that has an upcoming Saturday seminar that's a upcharge cost, that has a future 3-day workshop that's a bigger upcharge cost, and if you want to engage further, you can go for the Mac Daddy upcharge cost.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of scales of that out there.
Gotcha. All right. So, but I want to know what you did. Like, so you said, I heard you say you hired a coach. And how much did you have to pay your coach?
I think it was $10,000.
And what was your coach supposed to do?
Teach me how to market, and then how to rehab once I had a property, and how to sell. Take me through the whole process. And we had a process where I got to earn that fee back because we were essentially partners in the first 2 or 3 deals. And so I would get half of it back on the first deal, half of it back on the next deal, and then we'd split the third deal 50-50.
So interesting. Okay, so you pay him the $10,000 to teach you. You are going to buy a property. When you say partner on the deal, buy a property, did you share the cost 50-50 on the deal?
Shared the cost? Probably not. I think
I think you paid the cost.
We shared the profits.
Yes. That's what I'm getting at.
I think you're right.
Yes. So yeah, okay. So everyone sees where we're going here and everything like that. So how many deals did you do with your teacher?
3.
You did 3 deals. And how did they go?
One of those, I think we did 2 real rehabs,
Okay.
and then one that introduced me to the concept of wholesaling. Which
I was wondering if we were going to go
where did
there.
this go? So, I probably, bought the first property. It was either 12 or 13. And I bought a property for $8,000
$8,000.
that had a $160,000 mortgage on it. And I thought, how in the world was this dump ever worth a bank putting $160,000 into a loan on?
Okay.
Come to find out, the owner of the property thought that the bank had foreclosed on it. They never actually foreclosed on it. So the owner was still the owner, but the bank never released the lien, never foreclosed, never nothing. So I then had to get into negotiating with the bank on what to do about the fact that they had this old mortgage that they never released.
So you bought a house for $8,000. So you bought it from, obviously you bought it from the owner, and it was an owner occupied person?
Well, it was vacant.
So he'd left.
Yeah.
But did he think, he knew he had a mortgage on the house, right?
He thought the bank had foreclosed.
He thought
just
the bank
walked away.
I got you.
He thought
walked
the
away.
bank, the banks, and this was a problem with a lot of things going on. There was this whole zombie, foreclosures was a phrase that was used at the time, that banks would threaten to foreclose. People would assume that I bought several houses this way, actually. Banks would threaten to foreclose. People assume that they did it. They got up and left because the bank said, get up and leave.
Right.
They followed their instructions. And then they come to find out later, the city starts sending them, bills for, code violation. I had one person, I bought their house. They were afraid they were going to jail.
Oh, no.
Because the city was going to, put them in jail for not having, dealt with the code violation issues for a house they didn't even realize they owned.
So there was a warrant out for their arrest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bank thought, they thought the bank was the owner now.
Okay.
So in this case, I negotiated with the bank for like $2,000, send them.
So wait a minute, hold on. I want to know, who, if the guy abandoned the house,
Mm-hmm.
but you bought the house from him? I mean, he deeded it over to you for $8,000?
Yeah.
But he had left. He was done. He was like
He was
$8,000.
done. Yeah.
And did you know there was a mortgage on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you knew it was
I
worth
had to
trying.
do some research on that. So,
Okay.
yeah, and that was we didn't close until it was all taken care of. So, I out of the $8,000, he didn't get all that. He probably didn't get, I don't remember what he got. No, probably didn't get most of it.
Yeah.
The bank got a piece of it. City got a piece for code violations and things like that. And we resolved whatever issues there were, and he got the token amount that was left, and I got an $8,000 house.
So the bank, you were able to negotiate with them their $160,000 note for, it sounds like less than $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
You were all in for $8,000.
All in for $8,000.
And they released their lien on the property. You were all in for $8,000.
Yep.
Was the house worth $8,000?
So this is where wholesaling came around. Was the house worth $8,000? Yes, the house was worth $8,000.
Okay.
It was worth more than $8,000.
Okay.
So I bought it for $8,000.
Yeah.
I intended to fix it up, rehab it, sell it. 3 weeks later, somebody offered me 15.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so 15 in 3 weeks versus, that's a pretty good return.
Great.
I sold it to them for 15. They sold it to the next guy for 30 a month after that.
Oh my gosh. Did you know?
I found out later. I didn't know at the time.
But you didn't know that they were going to sell
no,
the house.
I didn't.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you had known that they were, remember, they're going to try to sell it. They might not be able to sell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you have sold it to them if they said, hey, I'll pay you 15. I'm probably going to try to sell it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Would you have sold it to them?
All those decisions get made in the context of exactly what's going on that day in your life.
That's what,
right?
and I'm asking you to look at that day if you had known they were going to try to flip it and for 30.
That day, I probably still would have done it because I can turn around and pocket $7,000 on my $8,000, and
Great return.
I know it.
It's a great return on your money.
It's a commitment rather than a potential.
Yeah, because I know some people get mad, right? They go, oh, I can't believe they turned around and sold for 30. But my whole point on that is, though, but you thought 15 was good.
Exactly.
You took it. If you didn't think 15 was good, you went to taking the deal.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think people should get mad. And the reason I bring this up is because, I have a title business.
Right.
And early on in my title business, this exact scenario happened.
Yeah.
Somebody bought a house from somebody for like 15 or 20 grand, right? And then they turned around and sold it for like 60. Okay.
Yeah.
And the original seller, the A on the A to B, B to C transaction, I don't know how they found out, right? But they called me as the title company and said, you should have told us they were selling this property.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I can't. You're not part of that transaction. I'm like, I can't go tell people about other people's transactions. I mean, it's not right. It's not relevant. And he was like, but if I had known they were going to make this money, I never would have sold to him. I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with me.
Right.
I mean, I didn't know. You were just closing up my title company and everything. He was mad at me. He was threatening to sue me. I'm like, sue me for what? I was like, I'm not anybody's lawyer or representative here. I go, I'm just the closing agent, right? Like, why are you? And by the way, I go, if you didn't like their offer, why'd you take it?
Yeah, exactly. It was good at the time.
It was good at the time. And if you wanted to sell for 60, then, put it on the market and see if you can sell for 60.
Yeah.
It was a really weird, this was really early on when it was probably similar time period, 2011, 2012, when this transaction happened, same time that you were probably doing this and everything. It was very interesting. Because do you think, because now in your situation, the guy that sold to you, it wouldn't have mattered to him because he wasn't going to get that money anyway because he owed $160,000.
Exactly. Right.
So not really about it.
Yeah.
All right. So now you're a wholesaler. This is very exciting. You're a wholesaler.
Yeah, it's interesting. One thing on the look back regret topic, right? So I fully believe that was the right, answer for me at the time that day.
Yeah.
But I told you I couldn't imagine how any bank had a $160,000 loan on that house. Well, that neighborhood in Atlanta is all $400,000 houses now. So if I had kept the $8,000 house, put 50, 100 grand in it, I'd be sitting on a $400,000 house now.
Was that your plan? Were you going to? Do you remember what?
My plan wasn't to keep it. It was just to fix it and
flip
it.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You were going to fix it and flip it. So, but was it going to be a $50,000, $100,000 rehab, complete gut job type thing?
It would have been pretty significant.
So it would have been a big deal.
Yeah. But it would be nice to have not had. I mean, like most people in real estate will say the the only houses that you have regrets about are the ones you sold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so then I got into, I learned about wholesaling. I keep doing rehabs and have, even I sold 2 rehabs this past year. So
Right.
keep doing that. But I got to know wholesaling along the way. And then, so now I'm doing some IT consulting. I'm doing the cost reduction business. I'm doing,
Oh my gosh.
I had 3 businesses going on all at the same time. And then through some, life circumstances, I had to say, okay, I've got to stop and just focus on one. And the one that I went through some health issues that had me out of work for a year. And so now I'm in like a rebuild stage. And so the one that gets cash in the door quickest is wholesaling. So I turned 100% of my focus to wholesaling, and I started doing, 100 houses a year or something.
Oh my
like that.
gosh. I didn't know that. I didn't know. So you were focused full time on wholesaling.
Yeah.
And so, okay, tell, look, people watching this are in real estate. How did you find the houses to wholesale?
I mailed about 10,000 postcards a month.
One of those guys.
Yeah.
It says, we pay cash, we'll buy your house. Was it one of those type of deals and everything?
Exactly. And funny story about our wonderful U.S. Postal Service. I recently got 2 or 3 of those returned undeliverable 5 years later. They were sitting in some stack in the Atlanta sorting center for a long time.
So, all right. So good use of your money sending those things out.
Exactly.
Lickety split. They got right till they wanted to go and returned back to you, 5-6 years later. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So you're mailing out. How many postcards okay, so this is good. How many postcards do you have to send a month to get, 5 deals?
Oh gosh, I had lots of statistics I tracked on that, but I was probably doing, 10 to 15 deals a month on those 10,000 postcards. So, 1,000 to 1.
That's a lot of deals.
Yeah.
Were you doing it by yourself? Did you hire a team?
I had a VA.
You had a VA?
I had a VA in the Philippines that, actually, she still to this day will send me. I got a Christmas card and a happy birthday card from her. So
I thought you were going to tell me she still had deals, that she was calling you and saying, "Hey, I got some buyers for some properties."
No. She still reaches out from time to time.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was just me and a VA.
Wow, that's a lot of work, though.
It was a lot of work, and it was. In a large way, it was kind of a return to the cold calling days of early on, and I got burned out. I enjoyed the deals, and there were certain times that I enjoyed working with people. I had several people that just needed. I bought a house from a woman one time who could not get her own son to move out of her house, and her answer to getting him to move was to sell the house.
That's brutal.
So I had odd situations like that, but I was also she was very thankful and very happy to get moved on from those kinds. And I bought another one from somebody that thought that the bank had foreclosed and it was piled high with garbage and the city was putting liens. So, it helped. There are quite a few times when I helped people out significantly and they appreciated it, but it was a lot of cold calling essentially, and that just wasn't me.
And how did you, I get the people that, the woman that wanted to get her son out, super sad, but I get, she was highly motivated to sell. The city's coming after you, city, violations or trash piling up. I get those people ready to move out. But how did you convince people to, because look, the wholesalers we deal with today, they're not paying top dollar for your house.
Can't make money on it.
Right. So what's the process there?
Yeah. Different people approach it different ways. Some people will just take, whatever the seller wants, they'll give them that contract and then they'll just try to sell it. That to me is, starting out with, you're not really committing that you're going to buy that house. You're just trying. It's basically like being a realtor. You're, listing a house, you're trying to sell it, and maybe you will, For me, I went in trying to, determine what I could legitimately buy it for and then turn around and sell it. Now, I couldn't always sell it for what I expected.
Sure.
So I had to cancel contracts from time to time,
right?
Just like anybody in the wholesaling business does. But I didn't go in with an expectation that I'm going to beat them down eventually. When my buyers beat me down, I'll turn around and beat them down.
Yeah.
I went in saying, I know you want $100,000 for your house, but I can give you 50. And if we could get to 60, then maybe I could sell it for 70 or 80.
And did you do the double close? Did you buy the deals with your own cash and then get back? Or what was your style of wholesaling?
It was a little, all of the above at various times,
Okay.
but the majority report was I double closed.
You double closed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I, for the same reason that the person was upset at you, I didn't do assignments very often. I did double closes so that it was two different transactions. Nobody got to see that, I was making whatever I was making in the middle and that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's super common in real estate. And, I didn't know what a double close was. Did you know what a double close was before you said that?
Yeah. Sure didn't.
I learned all that stuff. And when you double close, so we'll tell everybody, explain to everybody what a double close is.
So a double close is nothing more than two purchase and sale transactions back to back. So I'm buying, as you mentioned earlier, the A to B and the B to C. So there's, in two transactions, there's three parties involved. A that owns it today is selling it to B. That would be me. And then B is now selling it to C, my end buyer. So that's a double close. There's two totally separate transactions with separate settlement statements. The C guy doesn't see the A guy doesn't see the C guy. I'm the only one that gets to see everybody. And then it's a matter of how it gets funded. And there's, probably the world of wholesaling is a lot more understood now than it was 10 years ago.
For sure.
Right. So at the time, at least, and I've been out of it for a little bit now, so I don't know exactly how common this was, but at the time there were, Georgia's an attorney state. So our title agencies are the one and the same with the attorneys. They're agents for the title companies.
Okay.
And so there were attorneys that would flat out say double closing is illegal. So you first had to sort through that and find the ones that knew that it wasn't actually illegal. It's your title insurance company has to, agree that they're going to insure it in that fashion.
Right.
And then there's the question of, are funds from C usable by you to buy from A?
Pass-through funds.
Exactly.
Can you
Right?
pass
Because I
them
would
through?
rather not have to come up with my own capital to buy to then just turn around an hour later and sell.
Yeah.
So that's another one, is finding the attorneys that were willing to do pass-through funding. And then it's just a matter of documentation, because that's what everybody would require. Is everybody has to know that you may be using Mr. C, I may be using your
Yes.
funds for another
Yes.
transaction. So
And-
just
and-
had to get to the point where you disclose it and they were okay.
And hold that thought, because we'll ask you later. When your role changes as a lender, do you have different views or different thoughts or
That's a
opinions
really
on
good,
that?
interesting question.
Yeah, because and we'll talk about that as we get into that. But I am super interested in this because I've talked to plenty of wholesalers, but I really haven't gotten in depth in everything with them. But I am curious. So when you're scheduling this closing, do you have A to B like at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then B to C at like 12:30, 1 o'clock, making sure that you didn't see each other, or
Actually,
what did you do?
most often you try to do the opposite, actually.
Oh, because you
I'm
want the
going to get
funds.
B to C to sign first and to make sure that they send their funds in so that when we sign for the A to B, and we have to do it, different attorneys will, give different amounts of leeway on that. But, basically let's do it all in the attorney's office on the same day so that there's not any delay in this.
Because technically, right, so the lawyer and me coming
Yeah,
out.
sure.
So technically, when you're signing B to C first, you're selling something you don't own.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
So that's sitting in the office in the file cabinet in the closing attorneys.
You close into escrow.
Exactly.
You close into escrow.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Interesting.
So if you do that first and then do the other, then that way there's,
The fund's already
if
there.
A is wanting a check at closing, you have a check at closing, and then you get into, C didn't send their money quite timely enough, and now A is upset that they don't have a check, and they say, well, it's, banks, just haven't sent the wire yet.
So this is going to segue. I think, we can't, I don't know. I still want to go where Jeff's going though. But when you were the wholesaler, did you require C to use cash or hard money, or what were your
Yes.
requirements, or did you
Yeah.
have any requirements?
No, cash or hard money only. I think, conventional lenders, it's never going to fly. Hard money lenders, it's, questionable whether they're going to allow it to fly, right?
Right.
Cash is generally no problem. Most of the time, a cash buyer that's signing a piece of paper that says you might use their funds for another transaction doesn't even read it, let alone be worried about it if they did.
Yeah. So see, you could have used me back then, because that's right around the time, 2010, 2011, 12. I was doing transactional funding.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because I was funding wholesalers, so they would not have the issue. So they could close A to B first, because I would fund the transaction for them. And then they would sell to B to C, and then they would just pay me a fee for using my money to close the transactions and everything.
Now, would you let them close before the C funds are there? Would you send your transactional funds to the closing agent, or that
not
was
at first.
Just you always?
Not at first. No. Well, yes, I wanted that.
Yeah.
But then as I expanded my business, I couldn't. I was doing it in different cities. I couldn't do that. But yes, that was my requirement. That's a great point. That was my requirement. I required the wholesaler to close at least the B2C at my title company.
Okay.
Right. I couldn't always, they're the buyer in Texas, right? I was just doing this in Texas. The seller controls title.
Okay.
So the buyer didn't always, couldn't always, the wholesaler at the time, this was early on, the wholesaler couldn't at the time force them to close their title company. Now, what they did was, they were very clever. They would tell A, they would pay for title. So they would use their title company, and then they'd pass the cost on of the A to B transaction to C, right? And so they would get their fee covered, but they'd close it. But then they'd close both of my title company, which made me much happier, because then I could make sure my money was okay and everything.
Yeah, that's a lot easier.
Yes. So, I had a lot of mixed emotions on the A to B, B to C transactions as the lender, right? Because you're a little more worried about that, because maybe B's not signing a note and deed of trust on the A to B money, and he was borrowing my money.
Yeah.
But I learned, so I got a little more sophisticated on it. I did it. I did have them sign notes and deed of trust those short periods. But then, if you recorded the deed of trust, you couldn't sell the B to C there, because it takes usually a couple days, maybe depending on what county you're in, a couple weeks in Texas for that deed to be recorded.
Yeah.
Well, if on the B to C, if the title company didn't have a copy of the because it was recorded, but it wasn't in the county yet, they didn't see it there yet, they would say, well, you can't sell it. You don't own it. Right? And at that point, there's no closing in escrow, because you already, B already owns it. Wholesaler owns it. Wholesaler's like, let's go. I need my money. I want to do another deal. And I'm like, well, wait, it's my money. It's not your money. I want my money back. Anyway, it was a little complicated.
Lots of complications.
Yes. All right. So you wholesaled for a while. You did hundreds of transactions. And you were still fixing and flipping too, is my guess. Now, were you worried about people saying, well, hey, you're cherry picking those deals, you're only keeping the good ones for yourself, you're selling us all the crappy ones?
A little bit. I mean, people wonder that, but I wasn't, high volume enough rehabber for that really to be that big of a concern. Gotcha. I couldn't do that much.
Yeah. No, but you were wearing lots of hats. So it was
exactly.
a lot going on. All right. So when did you cross over? And my Jeremiah was my first guest, our COO, and he said he was in the title world, and then when he went over to the lending world, he went over to the dark side.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just use his, because I think we're the light, because we're helping everybody get the transactions done. I don't know why we're the dark side. Is this soon thereafter when you decided to get in the lending business, or was there an in between?
No, there wasn't really an in between. But all of my, I approached I had an interesting consideration of hard money lending. I approached all of my personal rehabs with true private lenders, just
individuals.
A friend that I knew that wasn't making enough money on their funds, and I could offer them 10%, and I didn't pay any points. It was just flat 10%, and they had to get all their money when I sold the house. So very favorable terms to me, but their alternative was 3 or 4 or 5 or 6% in the bank. Right.
Well, you had good friends then, because not a lot of people have the friends.
And I did. The other thing is that you have to have friends that are not investing in alternative assets that have significantly higher potential rates of return. Like my very first lender was a really good friend, but then later on he's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm investing in this movie and other stuff. He was. My rates were no longer as appealing.
Not as attractive.
Exactly.
Not as attractive.
So I was used to very inexpensive, essentially funds. Hadn't used a hard money lender myself for any of that. And then this is now about 6 years ago or so.
Okay.
I had a mutual friend introduce me to a friend of his who was an investor in a number of funds, a couple of different funds that were doing hard money lending, and he wanted to start a lender in Atlanta.
I think I know who we're talking about.
We're talking about Mr. Fixit.
That's
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So Mark was looking to start what became Skybeam Capital, and a friend of ours, a mutual friend, both known each other for many years, but Mark and I didn't know each other. He just this mutual friend knew both of us, and I knew the Atlanta real estate market. Mark knew at least the investor side of the lending business. And so we got together so that he could pick my brain about the Atlanta market and what the lending community is like and things like that. And then through the course of the next few months, I'm raising money for a flip that I'm going to do. And he starts saying, well, why don't you borrow from me? I said, well, your rates are too high. I can't borrow from you. So we worked out a very nice deal for both of us. That
you got a good deal.
I got a deal. So I became his first borrower. He actually
Really?
lent money to through another originator. Essentially it was the capital source through another originator on a couple of deals. But I was the first fully in-house Skybeam Capital borrower.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And Mark comes to closing, which my first thought was,
Why?
how many lenders go to closing? That's the first time I've ever had that happen. And he was just getting, he knew the business from the investor side and was starting to learn it from the actual lender side, the originator side. And so he comes to closing and said, well, you want to go out to lunch? And at lunch he said, why don't you just come help me run this thing? So a month later, I joined as the first employee of Skybeam and helped him get the thing off the ground.
First borrower, first employee, and first loan paid off, right?
That I don't recall. I had a challenging partner on that deal. Actually, I find myself in lots of different stories of, helping borrowers to know what to be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that I've really enjoyed about being in the lending business is when I was, doing rehabs, it was me and my deal, and that's basically my world. As a lender, I got an opportunity to talk to lots and lots of borrowers, see lots of deals, have people be able to, ask me questions from my background and my expertise of what things that they don't know that they, are just stepping into. In fact, I'm helping a friend get a loan through Longhorn right now that is doing their very first flip.
Nice.
So they keep asking me questions, and, it's great to be able to help, new investors. I've always enjoyed helping new investors get off the ground.
Me too.
So one of the things that's really important is to plan for the worst case scenarios in partnerships, right? We've had a few conversations about the difficulties of partnerships.
Yes.
So in this partnership on my first flip with Skybeam, there were three of us. Two of us had capital. One of us was, contractor and owned a number of properties. So the idea was we're going to go in, the properties he has, we're going to start renovating and selling, and we're going to bring the cash to bear.
Okay.
So sounds great, only the other capital partner had a stroke midway through the project. So now all of a sudden we're really dealing with his wife, not with him.
Oh, no.
And then the market, my contractor partner was just unreasonable in what he thought we should be selling the property for. Not to mention the fact that the contracting that he was coordinating was not always the best, and we actually had somebody try to forge a bunch of checks on us. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing $250 checks go out of my bank account, and what the heck is going on? Somebody had forged our checks, so it was probably one of our contractors that was on getting paid on that deal.
Okay.
And then it turns into we're not selling the property for enough, even though we're getting the highest sale price ever in this submarket of Atlanta. It wasn't as much as he thought we could be getting. And it wasn't going to be enough for us to make any substantial profit because he had run over budget so badly.
Oh, you mean the rehab bid went over?
The rehab bid, that was his part of the
Even though he was an experienced contractor,
Exactly.
he had done all these properties, the rehab bid Yeah. So
by
this is,
about a third.
Jeff, this is actually a great conversation because these are all the issues that we talk about with our borrowers all the time.
Absolutely.
A third higher than what you originally budgeted.
Yes.
And so his answer to it was, we have to sell it for more money.
Right.
Even though in reality, you and I both know the house is only going to sell, I mean, what the comps and everything is going to support.
Right.
Just because you put more money into it
Exactly.
doesn't mean it's going to sell for more.
No, not at all.
And did you guys have an LLC together?
We did.
And did you have an operating agreement?
We did.
And did it in there have a resolution to see if their partners were in dispute about things, what you were supposed to do?
We had a majority rules situation, which meant that me and the wife of the partner that had the stroke could drive the ship, and we had.
And was she on board though?
She was on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Now
goodness.
the contractor partner put a ton of personal time into this project, and I really did feel bad about that.
Sure.
But I wanted my money back, and and our part of our deal was we got a preferred return on getting our capital back as well. So I got a little bit of profit.
So you were the hard money lender.
Yeah,
You were the lender. You were, your money wants to make money, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And we got to the point where it devolved so badly that my contractor partner was starting to threaten to burn the house down, and I'm calling my insurance agent to find out, what if this house suddenly was no longer there? Like, what if it happened to be one of the owners that did it, or are we going to be in trouble here? Or?
Pro tip. Wait a minute. Who called the insurance agent?
I did.
Okay. Fair enough. Because I was going to say, if the guy that's threatening arson is the one calling the insurance agent, just pro tip, they're probably not going to pay that claim. And my guess is that they said to you that if your partner burns down the house, they're not going to pay the claim. Is my guess. Just my hunch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there was some let's hope that doesn't come out when the adjuster, kind of addresses the situation. That
well, not only that, like intentional acts. I mean, you got a whole myriad of issues there. All right, well, so my guess, not partners anymore.
Not partners anymore. I worry about seeing his truck in Atlanta every once in a while.
We sold the house though.
Yeah, we sold the house.
Okay.
Sold the house. The buyer was really happy, and it's in an area of Atlanta that's appreciating significantly. So they got a good deal, even though we got a high sale price.
Okay.
If we hadn't been over budget so badly, it would have been a good deal.
And so that was about 6 years ago. You started with Skybeam. You had the fun first loan. So now I get what you're saying. It probably wasn't the first one that paid off because
it had some hair,
some delays and everything. So did you then? You worked with Mark, and you guys built up Skybeam Capital.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell us a little about Skybeam. I mean, what, you guys got started, just the two of you. I know you've grown to a certain size. I mean, walk me through that. How'd that go?
Yeah. So we were figuring it out as we went. I was the one that had the local real estate background. He had all the legal and capital background. So he's raising money, and I'm figuring out how to find loans to put it into. And so started out just the two of us, and then we brought on a loan processor to help out with keeping things moving. And then we brought on John Olsacker, who was our first underwriter. And Mark will famously relay the story that we're out on the Atlanta Beltline having beers one day talking about hiring John. And, I'm doing,
I was about to say, who's underwriting?
Right?
Like, who's underwriting?
Me. I'm doing it.
You're originating?
I'm originating.
You're underwriting?
I'm underwriting.
Are you servicing?
Between that, Mark was a little bit more on that.
Okay.
But there wasn't a lot of servicing necessary yet.
I understand. A few deals. I get it.
But before too long, we brought in Mark's daughter, Megan, to run the servicing side of the business.
Okay.
But before that, we've got, the first, John coming on as underwriter, and Mark and I are having drinks talking about this potential. And I made the comment to Mark at the time, like, well, what am I going to do if John's going to do all the underwriting? I was naively not thinking about the growth and the scale that we were going to engage in. So,
well, I mean, you were the sales.
Yeah.
You're bringing in the deals.
Yeah.
So when you guys first started, how many loans were you doing a month?
Well, I mean, we first started, it was just one or two. And then we quickly, we got to, we're happy with, 3 or 4 or 5. We're like, if we could be originating, when we first started, we're like, how quickly can we get to $2 million a month? That was like, a couple of years from now, that would be a great volume. Well, 9 months later, we're doing $2 million a month. So we grew much more quickly than we anticipated.
And so How big was the average loan?
Around 250.
Okay. So you're doing 8 to 10 deals a month within the first 9 to 12 months. I mean, that's really good because it's super competitive out there.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys started. Now this is interesting. Okay. So you guys started in 2019.
Fall of 2019.
Fall of 20. Oh boy. So then 2020.
Things happened.
Yeah. March of 2020. The world's shutting down. COVID hits. You know, I really haven't discussed this with Mark that much, but I'm curious. Like, did you guys have like the conversation of like, should we still be doing this? Is this going to work? Like, you know, what was your thought process back then?
Yeah, you know, we were small enough at the time that we're just going to keep doing what we're doing and see what happens. We didn't have any real discussion about stopping. We were just trying to keep the train moving, and then suddenly, and it was very quick actually, it was the space of 2 or 3 weeks, you suddenly realize that we're the only ones that are still doing this.
Yeah.
That everybody else has decided to stop, and the phones are ringing like mad now, and all of a sudden, if you want a loan funded, the options were much less than they were a month ago.
So let me ask you a question. Did that give you pause to think, to go, wait a minute, if everyone else has stopped lending, maybe we should stop lending?
We should.
Did you guys have that moment, or you were just like all gas, no brakes?
Yeah, we were more gas than brakes for sure. The biggest question, and we put a good bit of time and personal effort into this, the biggest question that was an unknown was the real estate market going to completely stop? Right. Georgia is a in-person notary closing only state. We have no remote online notary capability. So it was all of a sudden not so much could we lend, it was could anybody close. And so we had the former managing partner of the law firm that we mostly closed with was reaching out to all his peers, trying to get an audience with the governor to get an emergency authorization to do remote closings, to do something that would allow closings to continue. A friend of mine in my neighborhood was formerly a Georgia House member and actually worked in the governor's office. And so I called him up to try and get some encouraging help to get a couple of laws through that did get pushed through so that we could have the ability to do remote closings for a period that kept the ball moving.
So you guys did get it passed.
We did. It was a temporary pass. It didn't become a permanent law. But
I gotcha. That's interesting. I didn't think about that because we're not. I mean, we could do remote notaries. We could always do remote. You could send a notary at someone's house, sign documents and all that. But you can't do that in Texas or in Georgia, because you had to go to an attorney's actual office and close.
Right.
Could the attorney come to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did a closing one time in a McDonald's. Attorney came to me at a McDonald's and we signed right there.
Oh my gosh.
And Georgia will allow you to do a mobile notary, and this is a little bit of an oddity, if you are not in the state of Georgia.
Oh.
If you're in Georgia, it needs to be done in the attorney's office.
In the attorney's office. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they weren't going to force an out-of-state person to come to Georgia, go to an attorney's office and close. You could do it mobile, but if you're in Georgia, but they changed that during COVID. Mm-hmm. They said, okay.
What they basically started allowing was the attorneys could participate by Zoom. You could sign with the notary with the attorney doing a Zoom call with you and that kind of thing.
Okay, interesting. All right, so you guys kept going.
Yeah,
you guys kept growing, and you kept growing.
Yep.
And
each quarter, each year was a little bit bigger than the last, and we're growing 30-40% each year.
And did you find that you enjoyed the lending side?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed the borrower interactions, and it was a new small business that we had to build as we went too, and that in and of itself is fun.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you built plenty of businesses and everything. You've worked at small startups. I always told everybody, I think the building of a business is actually the most enjoyable thing. Mm-hmm. I've learned the different challenges, right? As your business gets a little bigger, growing it more is more difficult.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's fun. I don't know if it's as fun because the beginning, I think part of the fun is the exciting. You don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then when it does work, it's really satisfying and everything. It's really cool. And you guys were like me, and you're like, well, what if we did 5 deals a month? And maybe could we do 6 deals a month? Could we do 8 deals a month? Could we do 10 deals a month? And to see those things, you hit all those thresholds, I think it's very exciting.
It is.
I think, it's hard to beat that. The building of a business, I think, is really hard to beat and everything.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump ahead, I guess. So you've been at Skybeam 5 years. And then now,
along comes Mike Hoffman.
Mark Fixie and I figured something out, and we decided to do a deal. And now, all of a sudden, so where did it end up? So when Skybeam at its peak, running hot, how many deals we do in a month?
30 to 35.
That's awesome. So 30 to 35. So what? 7 to 10 million a month?
Yeah, we had a peak of maybe 10 and a half or 11, and then we would, have a 6 and a 7.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So, and then you guys did the fund structure, right? We don't need to bore everyone with that. You had a fund structure. So you guys raised capital.
Right.
You had a line of credit.
Right.
And you were doing your loans, and you guys were, you were pledging those assets to the bank, and they would give you more money, and then you could do more deals.
Exactly.
Raising capital. Very typical fund structure that's been happening a lot the last 5, 6, 7 years. And then, okay, so we jump ahead, and we come up, and the Skybeam life and everything. We do the deal with you guys, and now your role is the chief lending officer at Longhorn Investments. And so how's that been for you?
It's been great.
And you can tell me the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just me and you talking right here. I mean, Michael's sitting here with us, but it's just the two of us. No one needs to listen to this. So a little different, right?
Yeah.
Some adjustments.
Yeah.
Getting used to underwriting guidelines, learning all the crazy back and forth Jeremiah and I have on trying to figure things out, how to do deals and everything. But I hope it's been fun.
It has been fun. I think, the people are the biggest part of the fun. And I think that is the nature of most businesses that you like to be a part of. You've got a good compatibility with people. And I think you and Mark made a lot of effort to ensure that there was a compatibility in the cultures of the companies that as we integrate, that's not going to be, something that people wish had never happened.
Yeah.
So that's what I found. Yeah.
And I will say on this, I mentioned earlier, we had our company conference, and we just had it 2 days ago. What's today? Wednesday? Yeah, we had it
right.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We had our company conference, and the easiest thing about the Skybeam transaction for me personally was the people.
Yeah.
All you guys are really nice. Everyone was super nice, super easy. I think our people are really nice. And you know what? We got proven right because we had everybody together, right? We had 74 people, 74 of our 77. We had one person was sick, unfortunately, and one person had some family things. And one of our persons at spring training, he's not playing, he's just observing. And everyone got along great.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I think there was a lot of team building, a lot of enjoyment of being together.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, let's go. All right, now we're a little bigger organization. Both you and I are bigger organizations. For me, it's the biggest one I've ever been in. I don't know about you.
I had a little bit bigger in one of the consulting organizations that I led.
What do we do now? What are our goals? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
What's your goals for 2025?
I think we're looking at another 30% growth year. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah. It's harder as you get bigger
it is
to sustain that growth and everything. So what do you think? I mean, look, we both know Skybeam and Longhorn looked at things a lot the same way. We really value our borrowers. We value our investors. We value our relationships with, third parties, whether it's title companies, appraisers, anyone else that we come in contact with, right? Any of our vendors, like we're all about the people and everything. How do we keep that going? Like, how do we grow bigger, but still remain, that face to face, that personal touch that I know you guys like doing.
Right.
and we like doing. So we like doing it collectively, but how do we do that as we grow?
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with the people that we bring on board to support that growth. We're going to just have to continue to make sure that the personalities and cultural fits of the people are supportive of that, the values that we have as an organization that trickle down from the top are, shared by those that are touching all the borrowers and the third parties. And we keep, good tabs on that they're following our expectations and processes, and that they've got a focus of being borrower first.
Yeah. And I feel like, especially after this week, that I'm super confident in that part. Like I feel like our people get it. But what do you think about the market? What's going to happen in 2025?
Yeah.
I mean, that, look, we can have the greatest team in the world, but this is it's a kind of a weird little funky time in our space, I think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think the combination of factors of the housing market in general is just not moving, right? I mean, if you just look at the data about sales activity is just lower than it has been in 30 years, right? I mean,
so why do you think that is?
I think if I knew exactly, maybe I could do something about it.
But I mean, we're guessing. I mean, we're all kind of guessing a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think that the interest rates are the number one aspect of that. Interest rates have created an affordability challenge for buyers that mean that there's less movement. There's a lot more people that are choosing to stay renting. There's a lot of people that are not moving from their low mortgage to a high mortgage.
So let me ask you a question on that, though. Do you think it's because the interest rates are high, or do you think it's interest rate expectation? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, because interest rates are not high from a historical perspective, right?
Exactly.
Right?
That's the part that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, 6%, not that bad. I mean, go ask your parents. They probably paid 12% for their mortgage and everything.
Yeah, no kidding. I certainly did from our first house.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think it's just, there's been such a prolonged period of unbelievably low rates that some of those rates are, in the market. I mean, there's a tremendous portion of the mortgage rates of the mortgages that are in place today that are at a low rate. So the people are not wanting to give those up, right? So that's keeping sales down from, lack of wanting to trade up to a higher mortgage.
Yep.
It's also the, younger folks that maybe don't own a house that are, interested in owning a house. We're used to what they've been seeing for their entire lives, right? They don't know that 40 years ago, this was not the norm, that 30 years ago was, for the last 20 years, it's been low, right?
But
so that's all they know. But they know lower, right?
I know.
And so to them, you go from a 3% to 7%, the effect on the huge mortgage rate, on the interest payment or the mortgage payment is huge. And that's causing them to be able to afford a lot less house. And therefore, they're a lot less interested in doing that.
Your buying power has gone down.
Yeah.
But do you think that rates are going to go back to that time period?
No.
I mean, if you're waiting for 3.5% rates, buddy, it ain't happening.
Yeah. No, I think people are probably at best hoping that we can get back down to 5s. If we can get to that, then hopefully that's the number that starts to open up.
Okay, so let's just say right now it is February 19th, 2025. When are rates going to go to 5%, or are they?
Yeah, I don't think
Jeff Dimock's making a prediction.
It's not happening this year.
I agree.
I don't think it's happening this year.
I don't know if it's going to happen next year.
Is it going to be 18, 24 months or never?
I don't know that they're going to go down. I mean, because like we said, go literally, you and I are a little older, but if you're a 25 or 30 years old, go ask your parents the first house they bought what their rate was. I guarantee you it's over the rates that are right now.
Right.
By a lot. And so it's interesting because I was looking at an article that discussed that since the interest rates I'm putting are high, they're higher than they have been in the last 5 to 10 years. We get that and everything. But what's happening is that this is why new construction becomes more interesting because the inventory of homes with mortgages, like you said, aren't being traded because people aren't getting out of their 3.5% mortgage, because where are they going to go?
Right.
Right. Even if they want to move down or downsize, the house they're going to buy is going to be at a 6.5%, 7% mortgage, or their apartment or their condo, whatever. The dollar doesn't go for it. They're not going to have a nice place. It's going to be smaller. So they're not trading the properties. But new construction, though, I think new construction is moving a little quicker.
Yeah.
Right? Because at least if you're going to buy a house and pay a little bit more for it, or not get as much house, but it's going to be brand new fixtures, new appliances, modern, everything's updated, because it's brand new. I think those things are moving a little quicker. So in our space, the fix and flippers, a little tougher right now, right?
Especially the cosmetic ones, right? The challenge for finding something that all you got to do is a little paint and carpet, those are few and far between.
You put a little lipstick on a pig? I mean,
Right.
is that what we're talking here?
Yeah,
Not as
exactly.
exciting anymore?
No.
Not as exciting everything. All right. So how are we going to get 30% more growth? What are we going to do?
We're going to hire more loan consultants.
Okay.
We're going to get our loan consultants that are in markets today to realize that there's more loans that can be done in their backyard than they're doing right now. And how do we encourage them to do that? We're going to have to do more lead generation. We're going to have better marketing support. We're going to have to, encourage social media activity. That is where a lot of folks are looking for, lender referrals and things like that.
Yeah. But so we're saying that the houses aren't moving, all that stuff, but we know, you and I study the data, there's still plenty of trades happening.
Right.
Right. It's just all scale, because look, our industry, like, people don't realize that it's multi-billions dollars of industry, right? We were looking at this the other day. The largest lender in our space did 20,000 loans last year.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, that's just one lender, right? And we're in the top 20 in the country of overall of the, I call it private money, hard money loans, lenders. Right. And we did like 1,800, right? And so there's thousands and thousands of transactions happening. So there's still deals being traded, right?
Right.
Just maybe a little more challenging for folks to find them,
Right.
right? Maybe take a little longer for people to get in and out of deals than it certainly did when you were first started, buying properties and everything.
Right.
Well, Jeff, I'm looking. I can't believe we've already been over an hour.
Have we really?
Yeah, it's fun though, right?
It is,
It's fun.
absolutely,
It's
yeah.
fun. All right, so we're probably gonna leave it there. Michael, is there anything? Our producer. See, I like this. Our producer, Michael.
Producer Michael.
Is there anything else, Michael? Before we wrap up here, that maybe we didn't cover, other than Jeff, you're at longhorninvestments.com, right?
That's
People
right.
can find you at longhorninvestments.com.
That's right.
And we're super excited that you're on board. It's been a great 5 months getting to know you, and I'm very excited where we're going to go. Thanks for joining. I hope you found it as fun and informative as Jeff and I did, because I can't believe it's over an hour already. So it was great. They're probably going to cut it. They're probably going to cut it to 15 minutes though. But I mean, what are we going to do? What are we gonna do? All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike. It was great talking to you.
You too.
Call up Longhorn, told them let's make it rain. They said, boy, we got you, gone and do your thing.